Hi and welcome to my channel where I make dishes inspired by some of my favorite video game characters. Today's dish is inspired by anntakamaki from Persona 5. I know that looks aren't everything, and we especially learn that through Ann's story and social link, but I just really love Ann's character design. I love blonde pigtail girls like Junko, Sailor Moon, Bubbles, and of course, Ann. I love her spunky attitude and outfit, both Phantom Thief and regular, and I really relate to her love of sweets. She's a strong character in more ways than one, and she's gone through a lot considering her young age. Although we see her appearance as beautiful, her blonde hair and blue eyes label her as a foreigner and make it hard for her to make friends at Shujin. So when she finally has a wonderful friend in Shiho, she wants to hold on to that relationship tightly. I can't imagine being so young and vulnerable in school and being blackmailed by your teacher, someone you should be able to trust and rely on. Even through all of that pain and suffering, she selflessly thinks of Shiho's happiness. It's an incredibly powerful moment to watch when Ann finally confronts Kamoshida for the literal scum that he is, and I remember thinking, wow, this game is starting with such an emotional and bold first act. She must have felt so vindicated finally putting Kamoshida in his place in the metaverse and seeing him confess his crimes to make sure that no one else would have to go through what she did. I think in moments like those, when you're a victim of something awful, one of the only ways you can kind of get any hope from the trauma would be to use it to help others, just like Ann does. She helps create such a strong opener for Persona 5, and it's honestly a bit of a shame that she isn't utilized as well in later parts of the game. But I think sometimes that's the give and take you get from games like Persona with larger casts of characters. It can be hard to have equally strong character involvement throughout a whole game when you have so many people vying for their time in the spotlight. Either way, Ann is an A+ character for so many different reasons, and her charm, personality, style, and gameplay add so much to an equally A+ game. Now, it's completely obvious that for Ann, we just have to make some kind of dessert. She's known for having an insatiable sweet tooth in the game, such as during the buffet scene. She has a whole bunch of sweets on her side of the table, like a cake, souffle pancakes, and a pie, and even once their plates are empty and they're all stuffed to the brim, she still brings up cleansing their palates with another dessert. Her love for sweets is truly next level. It's amazing she's still so tiny. We know that Ann has a particular love for cake, and I remember reading something somewhere that she would happily eat cake for every meal if she could. Another specific dessert of interest for her are crepes, which she loves to eat often and even wants to bring some to Shiho during her social link. A lot of the desserts she eats are topped with beautiful strawberries, and I think that fits really well with her red and pink color scheme. Lastly, one other thing I wanted to incorporate was roses, due to her iconic all-out attack quote of, "A beautiful rose has thorns." So altogether, we're making a strawberry rose crepe cake that was as beautiful as her and will have you saying, "OMG, these are so awesome." Here's what you'll need to make your own. For the crepes themselves, you'll need all-purpose flour, salt, granulated sugar, 3 large eggs, vanilla extract, unsalted butter, and whole milk. For the rose cream cheese filling, you'll need softened cream cheese, rose flavor extract, heavy whipping cream, and pink food dye. And side note, I ended up having just enough filling even with messing up several crepes, so I ended up bumping up the recipe just a tiny bit so that you'll have enough for filling and icing. So you'll see me making a slightly smaller amount, but you'll hear me saying the updated amounts, and the recipe page has been adjusted for this as well. Lastly, for the strawberry filling, you'll need about 10 ounces of strawberry jam and some water. Also, for decorating the cake, feel free to use anything of your choice. I ended up using just some fresh strawberries, but you could use sprinkles, flower petals, anything you'd like. We'll start out by making the crepe batter. In a large bowl, we'll add 1 cup of all-purpose flour, a half teaspoon of salt, and 3 tablespoons of granulated sugar. We'll whisk these 3 quickly just so they're well dispersed, and then we'll start adding some liquids. You'll grab 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter and melt it quickly in the microwave, then let it cool down for a minute or 2 so it's closer to room temperature. Later on in the recipe, you'll need some more melted butter for greasing your pan, but you don't have to prepare this until later. Once your melted butter has cooled, you'll return to your bowl of dry ingredients. Add in 3 eggs, 1½ teaspoons of vanilla extract, and your melted butter, and whisk the bowl until the mixture becomes smooth and there are no lumps. We'll then start slowly adding in some milk. While constantly whisking, hopefully more efficiently than me, slowly pour in 2 cups of whole milk and keep whisking until the mixture is really smooth and well combined. It might seem like the batter is really thin, say compared to pancake or waffle batter, but this is exactly how we want it. We'll then cover the bowl with some plastic wrap and place the bowl into the fridge to chill for 1 hour before making the crepes. So now we have a lot of time to kill, but we need to quickly make our strawberry filling. As mentioned earlier, all we need is some strawberry jam and water, so we're really just thinning up a little bit of jam. Add 10 ounces of strawberry jam into a small saucepan and add in about 2 tablespoons of water. Mix everything and heat on medium heat, stirring occasionally, until the jam is simmering and slightly bubbling. We'll simmer the pan for just another minute, then remove it from the heat. Pour the strawberry filling into a medium bowl and allow the filling to start cooling to room temperature. Now we'll really have some free time. Spend it however you'd like, such as leveling up your social stats or taking on to an amazing buffet or bakery, and once your crepe batter has chilled sufficiently, head back to your stovetop and start heating an 8-inch crepe pan or nonstick pan on medium heat. As the surface heats up, melt about 4 tablespoons more of unsalted butter for brushing. Once the pan's surface is warm, we can start making our crepes, so grab your batter out of the fridge and get ready. For full transparency, this was my first time making crepes. I had watched so many tutorial videos and baking/cooking shows on making crepes, but it's a little different when you finally physically do it yourself. This recipe makes about 13 crepes for the cake, but I was only able to use 9 crepes because I messed up 4 of them. Crepes are notorious for being a little finicky, especially when you're new to it like me. I was honestly getting so terrified as I was recording, but I finally did get the hang of it after 4 broken crepes, so if you're like me, don't feel bad if it takes a few test crepes for you to start to get it right. Anyways, the process will generally look like this. You'll start by brushing the pan's surface generously with your melted butter, and then you'll briefly mix the crepe batter with a spoon or measuring cup. Use a 1/3 cup measuring cup to scoop out slightly less than a 1/3 cup's worth of crepe batter with one hand, then grab the handle of your pan with your other hand. Lift the pan slightly up above the heat source, then pour your crepe batter into the center of the pan, all the while continuously swirling and rotating the pan around so that the batter coats all surfaces of the pan. Keep swirling the pan until the batter sets and has stopped moving, then set down your pan and allow it to heat. It won't take long for the crepe to cook since they are so thin, so keep a watchful eye on the crepe as it cooks for anywhere from 30 to 90 seconds. You'll notice that the edges of the crepe will start to slightly darken and dry out, and this is the sign you're looking for to make sure that the crepe is ready to flip. Play around with how you flip your crepe. I saw people recommend using 1 small spatula in your hand, but it worked better for me to use 2 thin spatulas. Either way, use a thin spatula to lift up the edge of the crepe, then slide another spatula or hand underneath as well. Carefully flip the crepe over and even out the surface before cooking for another 15 to 20 seconds. You should see that the surface is turning a light golden brown. Once both sides are cooked, you'll carefully use your spatulas or hand and spatula to place the crepe on a wire rack to cool. Just like with the flipping process, make sure to be careful as you transfer the crepe over since it will be very easy for them to break while warm. You'll repeat this process with all of the remaining batter. Brush, pour, swirl, cook, flip, cook, transfer. Again, if you're successful, you should have up to 13 crepes once you finish. Now, since the crepes are so thin, they won't need long to cool, but once you're finished cooking, we'll quickly prepare our rose filling. In a medium bowl, we'll add in 12 ounces of room temperature cream cheese, 1½ teaspoons of rose extract, and a 1/4 cup of granulated sugar. We'll beat with a hand mixer or in a stand mixer until everything is smooth and well combined. Then we'll grab a separate clean mixing bowl. To this mixing bowl, we'll pour in 1½ cups of heavy cream and once again beat, this time until it forms stiff peaks. Once the consistency is light and fluffy, you'll add your rose cream cheese mixture to the bowl with the heavy cream and add in some pink food dye to your desired color. Briefly beat the mix until all components are well combined and the mixture is smooth and airy. Now, I felt like this was a good amount of rose flavoring that was subtle and noticeable but not overpowering. However, this is a good time to give it a quick taste to make sure it's to your liking. If you want the rose to be a little stronger, go ahead and add a few drops at a time, mix again, and retaste. Also, if you want it to be a little sweeter, you can always add a pinch more of granulated sugar if you'd like. Now we have all of our components ready, it's just time to assemble the cake. Feel free to decorate using a Lazy Susan or just a serving plate or cake stand. To bring everything together, you'll start with 1 crepe and then spoon about a 1/4 cup of your rose cream cheese filling on top. Spread the cream out so it's in a nice thin layer over the crepe. Just make sure that it doesn't ooze over the edges of the crepe. Once you have your layer of rose filling, you'll add about a tablespoon of your strawberry jam filling. Once again, spoon out and spread the mixture so it's in an even layer but not oozing over the edges. You'll repeat this process from here, adding another crepe, then rose cream, then strawberry jam, then crepe, with all of your crepes. Keep going until you have just 1 crepe left. Place the last crepe on top and then ice the top and sides with your remaining rose cream cheese filling. Get the cake as smooth as possible, and then from there, go ahead and decorate in any way you'd like, such as with fresh strawberries or rose petals. Then enjoy. I went through a roller coaster of emotions with this cake, and it sounds dramatic, but it was so rewarding to not only learn a new skill in crepe making, but combine so many other skills in this cake. The process was not just rewarding, but the taste was as well. I took a bite of this cake and immediately knew it was worth it and was already planning on when and how I'd make it again. The crepe layers have this really nice and fluffy but firm texture, and they're sandwiched between such amazing flavors. You get the really uplifting cream with that hint of floral rose, and it pairs so well with the tangy and sweet strawberries. Every single layer of crepe inside feels like such an accomplishment to chew, and although its flavor is so addictive, the cake feels so light so you don't even feel that bad going to get another piece. I absolutely loved this mixture of strawberry and rose, but there are endless possibilities to combine when making your own crepe cake, and if you have the time and patience, every single time it will feel like such a well-deserved treat. Ann would absolutely swoon and fall head over heels for this crepe cake. She truly couldn't imagine a dessert more up her alley and more made for her if she tried. If the crepe stall started selling these, she'd totally stop by any time she'd get a chance. She'd have to learn a little bit of self-control because, as she mentions, she can't eat too much to impact her figure for modeling. But she'd use this crepe cake as an insane motivator. Anytime she'd book a gig or complete a successful photo shoot, she'd treat herself to a slice, or 7, of this cake. She'd have to introduce it to all of her friends, from Shiho to Makoto to Haru to Joker, and maybe even Ryuji if she was feeling in a good mood. They'd each enjoy a slice or 2 and be amazed as Ann went up for her 10th slice. They'd learned not to mess around with her sweet tooth, or they would feel her and Carmen's wrath. They'd just be happy to see such a big smile on her face after all she's been through, as she enjoyed her salvation in sweet, sugary form. The recipe card is in the video description if you'd like a more quick and concise version to give it a try. Like if you want a bite, subscribe for more geeky treats, and comment what foods Ann reminds you of. Thanks for following along.